Hey everybody, welcome to American Idol Unaired. I'm your host, Bennett Shear, and today we are talking to another singer that you didn't see on season 20 of American Idol. Please welcome Paige Fish. Hi, Paige.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing so good. Thank you so much for having me on here.
Oh, thank you for coming on the show. We were just talking before, and I was telling you that, getting to do this podcast and talking to so many of the amazing contestants that we didn't get to see, I'm hearing a lot about who they love from Hollywood Week and being a part of American Idol. And they keep saying, you got to talk to Paige, you got to talk to Paige Fish. So I'm very excited that I finally get the opportunity to meet you. And I think listeners are really excited as well.
Oh, that is so sweet. Thank you so much for saying that. That is so awesome. I'm excited to be here.
Oh man. Well, why don't we start off just if you want to tell us a little bit about you and what got you into music. So take it away.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm a 16-year-old girl from Utah, and my whole life I have been raised in a very musical home. My parents love music and are musicians, and my siblings love music, and it was just kind of a part of my upbringing. I've just kind of been singing for as long as I can remember. Um, so my whole life I had grown up watching American Idol, just something that I've always loved and adored. And this last year I was 15. So on the show, I was 15 years old. I was like, I don't know, going on a TV show is like really scary. Like that is something that is so insane. And it never really like appealed to me. Like when someone would ask me what my thoughts were, if I wanted to ever go on one, I'd always be like, no, I don't think so. Scary. But I just have such a deep love and passion for music. And this last year, I kind of developed that for performing and doing gigs. And I got an invite on Instagram, so, like a recruiter kind of found my Instagram. And later to find out, do you know who Lennon Stella is?
Yes.
That was her mom. And I
Yeah.
had no clue. So I like sung some of Lennon Stella's music on American Idol, and the person who recruited me was her mom, but I had no idea the entire time.
Crazy.
So I know, it was crazy. So she asked me if I was interested to go on the show, and my initial response was like, no, I don't think so. Thank you so much for asking though. But then I thought about it more and kind of spoke to my family about it more. And I thought it was just definitely the right thing to do to go on. So I replied back and then auditioned over some Zoom calls and then auditioned in person, and then I was on the show. So craziness. I think the one thing I was totally unprepared for going on American Idol was how important the contestants would become to me. Like how truly wonderful and amazing everyone was there. And I think backstage at American Idol, they kind of want to make you think that they called it the Hunger Games, like the producers. Every morning they're like, this is the Hunger Games, guys. Like, may the odds be ever in your favor. But it was so interesting because everyone just loved each other so much. And that was one of the best opportunities, was just to meet all these incredible artists and just become really good friends with these super, super cool people who like you've never met before, and everything's new, and it was just awesome. So yeah.
Yeah, I find it so interesting how, I feel like these sort of different rounds are designed to, pit you guys against each other. And yet, talk about duets where it's like, okay, well, we're going to have these competing voices. And yet it's almost like, oh, I'm so excited to get to be able to have the opportunity to even sing with this person, not, oh, I want to crush them and, go through instead of them. It's about what you get the opportunity to do.
Totally, so true. Yeah, I feel like the only way that you can get through American Idol is if, I mean, it is a competition, but not one that you technically need to act competitive with. I feel like it's so hard to explain, but I feel like the more love you have for the people around you on the show, the better your like rounds and everything will go. It's just such a matter of your attitude and the way you look at things, and I think that's really important.
I'm wondering what city you auditioned in, going back to the auditions.
Okay, so I was given the opportunity to audition in LA, Austin, Texas, and Nashville, Tennessee. And even though I like live an hour away from LA by plane, I decided to go to Nashville because that is truly just like such a dream place to go.
Yeah.
And like if all else failed at like my Nashville audition and I didn't get through, I would still be in Nashville, Tennessee, and it would just be like such a cool and like environment.
Yeah.
So I chose Nashville just because that was my like ever since I was a little girl, my parents would go and they would just tell me how much they loved it and how they could live there if they would live there if they could. Um, and so I chose Nashville just because of the quality of the place, and I think I definitely chose the right city. I think I wouldn't have done it any other way.
It's such a cool place. Having spent some time there myself, I don't know. I was there as a student, and I kind of wonder what it'd be like to live there full time. Because I've been on a lot of Nashville tangents with my guests who either live in Nashville or auditioned in Nashville, just because it's such a
Yeah,
cool city. It's so much fun.
it's so cool. I was there on Broadway on a Saturday night and I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? This is incredible. Like I
Yeah.
loved it. So Nashville was just so awesome. And I sung Tennessee Whiskey for my audition song, which that was cool to sing it in Tennessee. It was just like it was a total just like perfect moment. So I'm very happy that I got to audition there just because of how cool it is and just the music city itself. I just loved it.
Oh yeah. It's a very long process, definitely not what viewers would expect. And by now, if they've listened to the podcast, they know that there's what they call day zero, which is before you even get to the judges. You have to do a lot of filming and they're preparing
Mhm.
you guys for whatever may get aired.
Totally.
So many different rooms. And so I'm wondering what that
Mhm.
experience was like for you and what you got to do during day zero.
Oh my goodness. So it was very interesting because they hardly had me do anything on day zero. But the day of my audition, they had me do all the day zero activities, which was very interesting. So on day zero, it was a lot of sitting around, a lot of getting to know a lot of the contestants that were there. um, and I did like like I feel like I barely did anything on day zero because of just there's so many contestants that they have everything perfectly like organized. And so my day zero experience was on my audition day.
Mm.
But I was one of the very last people ever to audition throughout this season. I was auditioning at like 8 or 9 o'clock at night. So if you get there super early on set, they had me do all my confessionals and interviews on day one and lots of b-roll, lots of that, lots of standing on a like a balcony with a sunset and pretending to just like be there with no cameras on me. But um honestly, day zero was super cool just because I got to experience everything and just sit there and kind of take it all in. And it was unreal because you're like, what is my life? Like, what is this? This is crazy. So I think I just loved 0 days and like the days that I would just kind of go from room to room doing all these things just because it felt like such an interesting experience that like hardly anyone gets to experience. It's like a very cool, very interesting vibe. Um, so I loved it. I wasn't stressed. A lot of people are, but I was just very like, wow, this is so cool. I love
Yeah.
this. So it was a good experience for me on day zero. And my mom was there with me, so we both got to experience that together and we loved it.
Any memories from, well, I mean, I'm sure you met so many different people on that day, but do you remember anybody that stood out or just the friendships you made?
Oh my gosh, yes. So there's a lot of times when you have to be sitting in the back of someone's shot who is being interviewed. And so you would just kind of sit there and look pretty and like just you could talk to people around you. And I remember I was put by Tristan Gressett and Emerson Flora. And those two actually became like my best friends like on the whole show, like throughout Hollywood Week, throughout everything. Like I cannot tell you how funny Tristan Gressett is and how funny Emerson Flora is. And those together, just it was phenomenal. Like we weren't we met each other on like one of the last like moments of where all these people could sit together like on set in Nashville, so for auditions. And I just remember talking to these people and me just being like, oh my gosh, like where have these people been my whole life? It was like this instant like connection I had with both of them. I remember Tristan and all these country artists sitting around like this like circle. There's a lot of cool like chairs we could sit on this like balcony, and it was freezing. And I remember all of them just had this massive guitar session. Like everyone was playing their guitar and contributing to the same song. And it just felt like home. Like it was so just this feeling I had never experienced because of like all these people that I was around who I felt like I was very similar to. And I was playing along with my guitar, and it was just so for like surreal. Like I just loved it. So I would have to say, like during my audition rounds, that's something that really stuck out to me.
That's so special. I mean, to be able to share those life moments, to be able to share those music moments, and to have somebody that can make you smile and laugh and share the love of music all in one.
Totally. It was just the most unreal thing. I remember just thanking God how perfect it was. It was just like, people have their football teams and their dance teams and people who share the same interest, like at least a few people around them. But I don't know, I felt like my whole life I had kind of had friends that I could like jam with a little bit and like sort of be able to like do music fun things with. But going on Idol, it was like not five, not 10, but like hundreds of people who just shared that interest. And that's what makes people get along so well, I think, on American Idol is just the common interest with everyone and just the love that everyone has and the passion. So I think that's something that truly did stand out to me.
It's almost like you think about high school, where maybe sports is kind of the center of everything, and that's why the big stadium is for the football games, or that's where everybody's
Mhm.
coming to attend something and gather. But American Idol, it's all about music, and it's almost like this is your moment in your time where
Totally.
your football tournament. I don't know.
Mhm. No, yeah, totally. And I always thought about that. I was like, all of these people are just people who love and have such a deep passion for music, and that is what they want to do in life. And it was just like such a good environment. Like I just loved it.
Wow. Well, I can't wait to keep hearing about every round and all the moments that you had. So many memories, I'm sure. As far as your audition,
Mhm.
which day did you go? Because I know it's a long week of filming.
I auditioned on day 2.
Mm.
So I honestly am very happy that I auditioned on day 2. I felt the jitters for like everyone else on day 1, and I was like, whew, I am so happy I am not going today. Honestly, auditioning was one of the most crazy, like scary experiences I have ever gone through. Um, and honestly, my whole life, well, it wasn't this way when I was a kid, but when I became aware of kind of what people thought of me, so like late elementary school, like junior high times, that's when I kind of really got nervous to sing in front of people. And one of the initial reasons why I didn't say yes to the recruiter right away, was just because of how nervous I get in front of people. It's
Mm.
not this way anymore. But like even last year, this time, I would get super shaky and like throw up. It was crazy. So, um, I had kind of not totally gotten over my fears of singing in front of people, let alone Katy Perry, Luke Bryan, and Lionel Richie. Um, so it was kind of like super like anxious, but only in my head, just because I was like, I got this. Like I'm so like pumped and excited. But going on day 2 was such a blessing, just because it kind of gave me an extra 24 hours to um, kind of process things and like prepare myself mentally. And I was at the very end of the day, and there was only like maybe 4 or 5 auditioners after me
Hmm.
of the whole season. Because Nashville was the very last city that people auditioned in. But I remember my voice was kind of hoarse because all day I had been doing my confessionals and my interviews. And if you're talking and like you're the only one talking because you're in an interview, your voice can kind of get shot a little bit. And so my throat was dry, and I was just like kind of not freaking out, but just like thinking of all the scenarios of what could happen. Um and it's kind of funny because like maybe even like 25, 30 minutes before you audition, at least this is how it was for me, they had me pretend like I was going in right then, like kind of play with my hands and pretend to be nervous, just kind of for the shot. Um, and they had me like walk through the door just for filming purposes. Like it wasn't when I actually walked through the door. Um, and that was like crazy because I felt like I was experiencing it right then because you're kind of acting like it is happening. And then after that, I wasn't as nervous. But I remember when I walked in the room, like actually, like when I was auditioning, and like all of them were turning over and looking at me, I was like, oh my gosh, like they're so like flawless. Like I'd seen them on TV my entire life, but like being in the same room as them was incredible. So truthfully, it was like a scary but super awesome experience. And I think that right then is kind of what stopped my nerves because I just kind of was like, okay, what is going to scare me after this? Like, that is the ultimate thing. So my audition day was awesome. And my audition like itself was a whole other like story. But yeah.
What's the initial moment when you walk in? And you mentioned seeing the judges, and I'm sure there's some banter. I know that they make it pretty fun before you actually get to the singing. They talk to you. You
Mm-hmm.
have some banter going there.
Mm-hmm. There's something so funny, like consistently during my experience on American Idol from very beginning to very end that I wish was aired because it was honestly hilarious. But as soon as I walked in, they first asked if my hair was real. And I just thought that was funny because I don't know what I was expecting them to say when they first like saw me, but that was the first thing. And I was like, yeah, it's all real, like whatever. And then they asked what my name was, and I said Paige Fish. And from then on, they had made so many fish jokes and fish puns, like whenever they saw me. And honestly, that just made it so much more fun and so much more like the attention and like all of the banter and everything just wasn't as serious with me. And I loved that because it was just so fun. So yeah, they always made fish jokes like consistently, and I thought it was funny. But I was so scared in my audition that I kind of like like you just kind of forget to laugh or forget to relax, and so I was like, oh, that's hilarious. But when I auditioned, they just were really fun and they were really awesome, and they weren't easy on me when I sang and sang my 2 songs. In fact, they had me sing another one without my guitar, just my voice. And because I sung a really fun song first for my audition, and they said they really liked it, but they wanted to hear my voice like more calm and more like just easy. And that's the thing that I have recognized with the judges, that for your audition, they truly just want to hear maybe your voice in its most emotional state, if that makes any sense. And I think that would be like a wonderful like vote of advice for people who ever wanted to audition for American Idol. I think the judges initially, when they first meet you, just want to feel like they want to feel something when they listen to you sing. And so that's when I sung like Tennessee Whiskey, like super like soulfully. And then that's what got me through to the next round with 3 yeses. And Katy Perry sent me through and she said, I'll guess I'll have to just put you through for the hell of it. And I remember that so so vividly, because it was like even when like the most like serious thing was happening, it was still like fun. So I loved the way that they kind of just made things super like funny in a sense. And they just kept doing that throughout the entire show, even when I was sent home. So yeah, I loved that part about it. It was just fun.
What was your first song before Tennessee Whiskey?
It was called Winning Streak by Ashley Monroe, and Chris Stapleton actually partnered in writing that song, but it is so fun and I loved it. But that one, looking back, would have been so much better for Showstopper, just because now I know the dynamics of an audition. But I actually had the producers like tell me to sing that song when they heard me sing it over Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of like you hear one thing from the judges, you hear another from the producers. It's just like, wow, you just kind of have to stick to who you are and what you think is like the best with your voice. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's something that I would say about that song, but I love it. So yeah.
Well, by the way, I want to ask because you mentioned the producer auditions. Anything that stuck out about that from the time that you were in the Zoom room, just meeting with producers before you actually made it to Nashville?
Yeah. Um, it was crazy because, well, I'm trying to piece this together. So basically, I had no clue what was going on throughout a lot of my Zoom calls just because I didn't know how the show worked. I didn't know what they were looking for, like initially, what they were really just wanting from this person on over like Zoom. And I didn't really know how to project as much as emotion and personality and confidence over a screen than you naturally would in just like real life. But I watched this video that people had put somewhere. I think it was like YouTube or TikTok of someone who watches auditioners for TV shows like over the screen. And they said something that was very interesting. They said, either you have it or you don't, kind of thing. Like, usually, when over a screen, you can tell um, who you're watching if they've got what it takes, like to be on a show and to kind of really like go with the flow, or people who can't, which is very interesting because it's hard for me. I think it would be hard to tell who would have it and who wouldn't. But I feel like these people who have been with the show for so long and are seeing all these contestants really just the catch on who like has the durability and the like the just the all around kind of package sort of thing. And I just kind of was myself and sung whatever, but I do remember from auditioning over Zoom, it was pretty stressful, honestly, because you're just sitting in your living room and your family's loud, your dog barks, it's just like a crazy thing, but like you're just wanting something so bad that it's totally just a cool experience, and you feel like you have this massive other experience, but it's really just like a screen, like it's just your phone. And so oh, I wish I could say that I liked the online auditions, but they were so crazy, just stressful and just like nuts. But and I had like three of them, I think, three different times. Um, but afterwards it just got so much like better and easier. And when I knew that I was on on the show, like could audition in person, it was so much more like I just took a chill pill. Like it was just super chill after that. But my online like Zoom auditions were like almost last year this time. Like they
Wow.
were like August, September, October, like all of that. Um, and so it was like quite a bit of time before I actually auditioned. So it was like I was experiencing this really long American Idol experience, and I loved it. So
Mm.
yeah.
Well, that it's so interesting to me because it's never been easier to audition for a show with Zoom, and yet they really put you through the motions because you never know being on a screen. I can understand being like, what are they looking for? They see so many people, and it's probably,
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's thousands, I'm sure, a day that they're talking to, and you never know what
Totally.
could go wrong with the glitches, and yet, it's all about
Right.
what resonates and what connects.
Totally, I know. And so after hearing that person who says like you either have it or you don't, it just like really, I don't know, stuck with me because they do see thousands of people a day, and it's like, geez, like that, what an amazing like honor almost to be looked at in a way that's like, oh yeah, they could be on the show. Like that is such an incredible thing. Um, and honestly, anyone who could get like that far is just that is so awesome and so cool. And um, so yeah, they were online auditions were something else, but I honestly enjoyed like the experience of it all just because it just added to everything. And so yeah, that's what I would have to say about those online auditions.
And did you sing the Ashley Monroe song in there? And then I'm guessing a few others.
Yeah, so I sung Winning Streak, so the Ashley Monroe song, and then they asked me to sing. They're like, "Do you have a second song?" And I said yes, and it was Tennessee Whiskey by Chris Stapleton. But the scary thing was they asked me to sing it without my guitar, just my voice. And honestly, that's what really saved me though, because it was just a moment for me to take a deep breath and kind of chill out. And so yeah, I sung those two songs for my audition.
Oh, so the same as the room audition in person.
Yes.
When they told you that you were going in person, what was your reaction? Could you believe it? Was it that moment
Oh
you
my
just were like,
gosh.
yeah.
So I was in biology, fourth period at school. And at this point, you can't tell like really anybody that you're going on the show until like you're allowed to announce that you are. Um, and so obviously you can tell your family and like maybe two friends, but at this point, no one, like I didn't even know I was on the show. Like no one had any clue. And so I get a call from this guy. His name is Paul, I think Cardall. Paul Cardall or something like that. And I get a call from him in the middle of biology class, and I was like, oh my gosh. And usually you have to like ask permission to like leave the room, and
Yeah.
I just like left. Like I was like, oh, I gotta go. So I walked outside, and he seemed really excited, like from his voice, and he's like, hey Paige, I just want to let you know that you are selected to be a contestant on the 20th season of American Idol, and we'll be giving you more information soon in emails and like blah 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 and all this. And I'm sitting there, I'm in the halls of my school, and there's other people in the halls too, like outside, just kind of lingering around. And they see me absolutely freak out. My face goes red. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, thank you so much. This is so awesome. And everyone's like, what? And so everyone was like, I mean, I don't know what you're jumping up and down for, Paige, but like I'm happy for you. Good, like
Yeah.
good job, whatever this is. I was like, I'll be able to tell you guys eventually, but like right now it's just like this crazy secret. I can't even, it was just reliving that. It was awesome. It was, I think, sometime in September when that had happened. And I remember running home after getting dropped off for school and like running in my house. I'm like, I'm on the show. Like I was just
God.
so excited. So that was honestly one of the best moments. I loved that.
Wow. I can totally see. I don't know if like your school has a no phones policy, but if they do, I can totally see a teacher being like, Paige, get off your phone. And you're like, this is kind of important. I don't care. It can wait.
Like,
No, it can't.
I know. I think my biology teacher was like, why did you like run outside? And I was like, just really important like business. I think I said,
Right.
I can't even remember. But then he found out later that I was on American Idol, and he's like, oh, that makes so much sense now.
Right.
So yeah, that was so funny and just crazy, but I loved it. It was just added to the experience.
Oh yeah. Wow. So anyway, well now we're like way past. I mean, you've survived the virtual auditions, you've gotten past your first in-person audition with the judges. As you
Mhm.
said, I mean, you've kind of gotten over the nerves, and now we're off to Hollywood week. It's December. And as I've learned by now from many contestants, you may be in Hollywood, but it's still freezing. So it's not like you're on like this sort of like summerish California paradise thing.
No.
It's like it's cold.
Yeah, and they didn't. I remember them just being like, they didn't really talk about what to bring. They're like, yeah, bring a jacket, it'll be cold. But they didn't prepare us to like wear outfits on stage, like the ones that would be wearing like, it's hard to explain. But basically, we would plan outfits to wear on stage, and in our interviews and everything on that, we kind of had to wear those outfits. And so outside, we're on this like balcony, like doing interviews, and it was freezing. Like our faces are all red, like we're literally like shaking, but we just have to sit there for all these crazy like mentors to come. And that was so awesome. That was so cool seeing all the past winners and people come. And but it was freezing. It was so cold. So yeah, you definitely nailed that, because it was truly just unbelievably chilly. But
Yeah.
yeah, I can't even like express how incredible Hollywood Week was. It was just like moments where you would just sit there and stare at everything happening around you, and you'd be like, what is going on? I just remember sitting there outside, even though it was freezing, and having Jordan Sparks come out, one of the past winners of American Idol, and I've grown up knowing who she is, and I was just like blown away. And oh my gosh, it was everything. Obviously, any experience has its ups and downs, but honestly, I truly just enjoyed most all of Hollywood Week. Like it was just such a good experience. And it was such a good way to like see into the industry
Mm,
and see what it's like to kind of be a celebrity in a sense, just
mhm.
because you're treated so like well, I guess. Um, and it was just so incredible to just go throughout every day of everything. And I loved Hollywood Week. That was my favorite part of the whole experience, that
Uh-huh.
time period.
When you got there, maybe it was another contestant you met, or it was something you remember about being in LA, or, I know you mentioned Jordan Sparks, but so many moments, I'm sure. What's the first thing that sticks out to you in your mind about arriving there, and like a memory from being there?
Oh my goodness. I remember hopping off the plane, and so there's like this little sign that you look for. It has like a little rainbow on this like piece of paper. You look for this piece of paper in the airport, and everyone on American Idol coming in from their flights goes to this area. And after a certain amount of people show up, you go on this massive bus. So many people like piled in this bus, and everyone was like so excited and like partying and dancing and singing. And it was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. So I was like, whoa, like there's more people I haven't met before, and these people are awesome. And then you go to a hotel, and I just remember everyone had the same like kind of jitters and excitement going on. And I feel like I just knew that, like, when you hear a song for the first time and you kind of know it will be like your favorite song, like
Yes.
that is totally how it was like walking into Hollywood Week and seeing everything. Um, so I remember the first day just getting to know people, and some people were like, I can't explain it, but everyone there was just funny. Like everyone just was hilarious. And that is like so rare, but I just remember specifically like seeing all these people, and I was like, oh my goodness, like this is a dream come true. All these people are so funny, so sweet, so talented. And I remember truly the people just stuck out to me the most out of everything in Hollywood Week. And all of my memories really just draw back to like the people. Truly. Like it was just such a surreal experience meeting all these awesome individuals. Um, but yeah, the first day there, everyone's kind of like timid, but when you wait in like this room for, it's like a massive room that everyone has to wait in. Some people get drawn out for interviews, and then others for B-roll and others for that. And the first day that I was there was everyone with their guitars just kind of sitting around this circle. And I remember everyone like started singing songs, and everyone would join in. Like 20 people would be singing the same song with beautiful harmonies and beautiful riffs. And it was so exciting. And I remember I'm like this little 15-year-old on the show. No one else is 15. I like, well, there was maybe a few, but um I didn't feel out of place, but I was like, holy crap, these like 25, 28-year-olds, like this isn't scary, but this is just new. Um so I saw all them singing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. So I picked up my guitar, and I just like instantly went to go like be with them. And I remember singing all these amazing songs and just jamming for like an hour. And it was just the coolest experience. And I was 15, and the rest of them were like in their 20s, or like it was just like I felt so at home for like like I felt at home in a certain way for the first time ever. Like I had ever felt that feeling. And so yeah, just that one memory of sitting there and jamming out for the first time with all these people, it was so incredible, and the energy was so high and so exciting. And I'd say that was just one of the memories that I first um like took in at Hollywood Week, and it was just the funnest thing ever.
When you're with that many people, do you sort of, I imagine you want to meet as many as you can. I mean, it's impossible 150 plus at least, but do you
Mhm.
sort of start out trying to just kind of make the rounds, meet as many people as you can? Do you sort of cling to certain people? What was that like in the beginning?
I remember just feeling like everyone here has the same interest. I feel like everyone is going through the same emotions. Everyone is scared. Everyone's exciting. Everyone is just like going through this all together. So in that sense, I felt like it was so much easier to get to know people. Um, and it was so awesome, totally just making my rounds and going up to whoever, asking their name and what genre they sing, where they're from. And obviously, like you said, there's so many people that you like instantly connect with, maybe more so than others, but truly speaking to everyone, it was like a different experience every time speaking to people. But it was so like awesome and loving just because everyone there just is experiencing and going through the same thing. But I will say that I did make my best friends in school. Now,
Mhm.
I don't know if you've heard about this before, but um, for California, like child labor laws, it is required that you do 3 hours of school at least every day.
Mhm.
So a child in on set for American Idols, anyone under 18 years old, so like 15 through 17, everyone sits in this convention room with a lot of student teachers for hours every day, like so many hours, because you have to get 3 hours of your day on school, but you can only be worked like 9 hours a day as a child. Um, and I remember like the first 2 days of school, there was like a lot of minors, but as the rounds went on, like it shrunk into like a very significant group of people. And I it was like quiet and everyone was actually doing school the first 2 days. And then after it became a smaller group of people and we all got to know each other better, it just turned into like a 3 hour long jam session. And the teachers would like try and get us to do our work, and I would like do work like for like maybe 30 to 45 minutes out of the 3 hours, and then I would be done, and then I would just like talk to all these people, and they would have us do like music trivia things in like games in this schoolroom. And everyone would get in teams of two, and they'd be like sing a song from like the years of like 1960 to 1965, and then you'd hurry and like search it up, and whoever would like blur out a song first would like win. But the thing is, everyone here is like an incredible singer. And so while we were playing this game, like Tristan would pop off with like an Elvis song, just like singing it perfectly, and all these people doing these riffs. And I just got so many best friends in those school hours.
Mhm.
Kind of just because you're forced by the law to sit there for 3 hours with these people. And so you truly just, it became my favorite part of my day, but just to like sit in school and get things done some days while like just becoming like best friends with all these people. And that's when I really became good friends with Kennedy Anderson and um, Emerson and Tristan. And there's another girl named Ciasia, and just all these super cool people, like Danielle. I'm sure you know some minors that were on the show this year, but it just really became this family. And I never wanted to leave school when I was with these people, just because I really developed all these really close, like best friends there. So yeah, that would have to be one of my most like strong memories from the whole experience.
Who would have thought that one day you'd be saying to yourself, the best memories came from school. Usually it's like,
I know.
right?
I
Like
know you wouldn't
school
think
is a
that
highlight.
at all.
Yeah. Oh my
For
God.
sure. But I know. And those poor teachers, they tried to get us to work so hard, but it just would backfire most of the time. We're like, no, it's okay. We'll just keep singing.
They're used
So,
to it.
oh
They've
my
worked on other
goodness.
stuff. They're used to it.
I know. I'm sure they got so annoyed just because it was consistent, but it was so fun. I
Yeah.
love it.
Oh man.
Um, at the hotel, they had a massive like place for us to do school, like this huge convention room. But at the Orpheum Theater, where all the rounds were taking place, on the days that we were at the Orpheum, which was many days, they had teeny, like probably as big as this teeny room up here for the miners to do school. And that room was easily built like early 1900s. Like it was falling apart, but it was the funnest thing because everyone was just like forced to just sit there like together, super close, like on the same table. And that was really when like the funniest times ever happened and like the most exciting things have ever happened because you would just go like sing like your Hollywood round or your duet round that day, and then you'd go to school. And then it was just fun. And you wouldn't think again that like school would be fun, but I really did look forward to those hours. I loved it.
Wow. We haven't even talked about the actual performance experience yet. I mean, this is just full
Yeah.
blown. So it's
Oh
wild.
yeah.
And even between school and that, and not to mention meeting Jordan Sparks and the other mentors, there's that to talk about as well.
Yeah. I feel like the experience behind the scene and the experience on the stage, like that's both two different like sides of my brain. Like it's just
Yeah.
totally different memories. But going into my first round at Hollywood Week, they have the minors always go first
Mhm.
because they can't be worked like all hours of the day. So they can't really like audition at 10 o'clock at night. They have to be at like 9 in the morning. And that was nerve-wracking, but I honestly grew to love going first just because you got it over with. It was like there and done. And actually, for my duet round, me and my duet partner, Jacob Moran, were very first, like the first people out of every single person who was in that round. We went very first.
Wow.
So, yeah, I was fourth, my Hollywood round. I was first in duet round, and for my showstopper round, they didn't really follow the minors go first rule, and I think I was the 17th person to go, but that still was so awesome. But my genre round, it was probably my most like jittery one, just because it's your first round at Hollywood and you don't know how the experience is when you're on stage, and you have to get your songs cleared by like a certain copyright person on American Idol. And the song that I wanted to sing was Sanctuary by Lennon Stella. Again, I still have no clue her mom
Right.
like
Yeah.
recruited me. I just think that's crazy. But so I was waiting all day before the round to see if my song would get cleared, and it just wouldn't. Like my song just, they couldn't, like it was just something like going on in the system, and I was kind of stressing out because if that song didn't clear, like what song would I have to sing? Like what, like would I just pull out a random like cover that I know? And so all day I was really stressing about like if my song would get cleared or not. And literally I think at like 11:30 p.m. the night before, like I'm getting ready to go to bed, that song was cleared. And it was like the biggest, I was like, oh yes, like I was so worried about that. Um, and I showed up with my guitar backstage, and it was crazy because we were the first line to go, and it was all these like little babies compared to everyone else, like all these minors. And I was in the same line as Emerson, and I think that's when her and I really got close, because when you experience these crazy experiences with all these people, it's a natural thing to just get closer to them and on a like a different level. And Emerson, I cannot tell you how just amazing she did in her genre round. Like she blew that away. And I was I think before her, and I got a standing ovation from Katy Perry after I had sung my song. And I think that moment was the moment that I was like, holy crap, like this is crazy. Like truly there's no other moment that I've ever lived where I just was like blown away. Like Katy Perry, my idol all growing up, is like standing up after a little simple song I sung on my guitar. And that was just the most incredible moment. And I remember going off stage, and just feeling like I was gonna cry. Like it was just such an amazing experience and so overstimulating and overwhelming that when it like was over and it went super well, I just was like, oh my gosh, that was incredible. And right after that, me and the rest of the people in my line, so they have like little sections of people who walk out at the same like time, and they tell you who's like going through or going home. And um, me and all my friends, like my close girls in that line, we all went through, and it was just the most unreal experience. And um, as soon as you get through, you just realize that you're going to have a whole new experience that will become just an amazing part of your memory. So that night, like they wasted no time. Like after the people who had gone through, they shoved all of us in this like room with this wall of papers of our faces on it, and on the back of it was our duet partner.
Yeah.
And because all minors go first, I was like the third person that they had ever like called up to come see who their partner was. So Luke Bryan was like, all right, Fishy, come swim over here and get your partner. Like, once again, all these fish jokes. And me and the judges were like bantering back and forth during my genre round, just with like funny fish puns. And I forgot to mention this, but as soon as you walk on stage, you have to say your name, like introduce yourself again, what you're singing, and why you think you should win American Idol. And I was like, what? Like, I like that just kind of seemed crazy to me to be like, I think I should win American Idol because of like, I don't know, that just seemed very like odd in a sense. And I think I remember saying like, hi, my name's Paige Fish. I'm 15 years old. And then they stopped me, and you were told by the producers backstage to keep it short. Like, don't drag things on, don't anything. But the judges started having like a lot of dialogue with me, which was kind of like, I was scared of the producers because I didn't want to be like mad at or anything, that it just like kept going. But the judges were like, there's no way you're 15. Like, we need your birth certificate. We need like this and that. And I remember just saying like, introducing myself. I was like, I think I should win American Idol because I think I said something like, if I won American Idol, it would just prove to all people that you can amount to big things no matter what age you are, kind
Uh-huh.
of thing. It was like just totally like a humble sounding
Right.
sentence because I did not want to. And then I said, and thank you for making me a goldfish so that I could be here because of like the
Uh,
golden ticket. And it worked, like the dialogue worked really perfectly. And I sung my song, and afterwards I got that standing ovation, and it was so cool. And then I like was walking off, and as soon as I was walking off, Katie was like, oh, fish, like fish. Like, she stopped me. She's like, next time you come on the stage, we're gonna have to see your birth certificate. And I was like, yes, ma'am. And then I walked off stage. So that was really cool, and I loved that. And then so back to when they stuffed us in that room to find out who our duet partners were. I remember just like, it was kind of like, it sounds so funny, but it feels like you're finding out like who your soulmate is. It's like that exciting because it's like, you're going to spend so much time with this person, and they're literally going to be such a big part of your journey. And when I saw that it was Jacob Moran, I just like calmed down. Like, it was so, I like barely even knew who he was, but he was in that group of 20 people singing that song with me that first day in Hollywood Week in that convention room. And I just remember just being so at ease knowing that he was my duet partner.
mhm.
And honestly, we clicked right away so fast. Like, by the time we had gotten back to the hotel, we sat next to each other on the bus, and we wrote in our phones like all these songs that were possible suitors for our song to sing, which is unreal because I feel like a lot of people are super indecisive. Like, I don't know, I don't really know. Like, do you have any ideas? When me and Jacob were super just this. Like, we just worked so well. And there's all these big whiteboards that have songs to choose from. Like, with any other round, you can kind of choose whatever song you would like if it gets cleared. But with duet rounds, you had to choose what was given to you. And
Mhm.
so we saw songs that we both knew and would like kind of sing along. And but then as soon as we got to this song by Megan Trainor, the one that like is I'm gonna love you like I'm gonna lose you, that song,
Mm.
we just kind of felt like that one was such a good one for us. So instantly we just wrote our names down and we went over to this little corner, and it's such a zoo during duet round. It's like everyone is super, super high energy, and some people are angry. Some people are really angry. Some people are like chill and happy. And that's how me and Jacob were. We're like, oh, I love this. Um, and we're being like recorded by all these like massive camera crews, and it's super intimidating. But me and Jacob really had a good round. And a lot of people are up until 1, 2, or 3 in the morning when Jacob and I were in bed asleep at 11:30 at night.
Wow.
Truly, because we both already knew the song and his voice is higher than mine. So he took the soprano parts and we traded off and um, practiced with some people who could help us. And we were ready. We were set. And so we said, you know what? If we're going to do this and like do it well, we're going to have to sleep. Like we're going to have to be very well rested. And so we went to bed and we were fine. Later to find out we were the first people to go, which was awesome. And we were both scared, and but we walked out there and it was the funnest thing ever. And we like nailed that. Like it was so awesome. And we got standing ovations from all 3 of the judges, and it was just incredible. Um, and so that moment was just an awesome moment. So I feel like those 2 rounds were just the most embedded in my memory. And then showstopper round was after that, but there was a day, like an off day for us, like in between duet rounds and showstopper. And that's when Kennedy and I just went shopping in all the little shops next to us. And that's where I didn't even think I was going to make it to showstopper round. So I didn't bring an outfit. So I had to go shop for one. And that was like one of the funnest things ever, just because Kennedy and I just became really close throughout that time. And Kennedy now, we like are closest friends and we live by each other, and it's just the coolest thing. But yeah, showstopper was the last round that I had done, and you practice with like the biggest band in like the whole world. Like they're so professional and so awesome. And I remember right after my duet rounds, I was like, my voice is tired, like I'm tired, but I got put into a really cool rehearsal room to practice my showstopper round. And I sung Killing Me Softly. And that song, it was just perfect for for showstoppers. It was just the coolest thing ever. And I had these 6-inch, like big white, like boot heels and like a black, like shiny dress. And it was just like, you felt like such a celebrity, kind of like performing with this big band and this big crowd. This is the first time you would have like a live crowd, and both my parents got to be there. And it was seriously so incredible. And I just loved my showstopper. And yeah, my rounds just really truly couldn't have gone better. So I loved them.
Wow. Just to take a couple steps back. So obviously we know getting through genre challenge, that was first of all a massive cut. So just to get through that, I'm sure was a big sigh of relief. Just like, okay, made it through that.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, I'm sure it was tough to know that so many of your friends that you made. I mean, obviously you're very lucky to get through. They got through, but so many people go home in that round. Do you remember any standout performances that you watched just from that round?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I'd have to say Emerson was one of them that truly just like blew me away. Maybe because I was sitting there backstage watching her, and but there's something just so like emotional about her performance, and I loved it. But I'm trying to remember other ones that truly just stood out. I feel like just watching the people who were the most passionate and the most soulful just really just stuck out to me. Like I
Mhm.
remember sitting there and just being so like wowed. Like my jaw was dropped like most all of the time during the genre round, just because I hadn't heard all these people sing one-on-one. And I remember sitting there like, oh my goodness, these people are amazing. But I'd say actually Emerson's was the one that stuck out to me the most, maybe just because where I was watching her was the most memorable, and she sung such a beautiful song, and it was just like effortless, like it was beautiful. So I think that was one that really stuck out to me the
Mhm.
most.
Yeah. Now, another thing just about that round is you don't get much feedback. Of course, the judges gave you more, I guess, dialogue than usual for that round, but then it's kind of a quick you're through, you're not through. Whereas in duet round, if I'm correct, they actually gave you some feedback once you and Jacob
Mhm.
sang your song. So I'm wondering what that was like and what they said
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah. So right away after your song, you know if you're going home or if you're staying. When after like the genre round, you would like go backstage and then go back on stage, and like it was like this whole long process. But right afterwards they give you your feedback and then they decide.
Mhm.
um their feedback was incredibly positive, and all three of them after we were done just let us know that that was a special performance. And they told me and Jacob that we had the same vibrato lengths, like our voices just matched up perfectly together, which was such a cool compliment coming from these incredible people. And I remember Katie said, your harmonies and your vocal structures just all like soared, like they just worked. And so hearing all of their dialogue after our performance, I just kind of felt like both me and him were going through. I had just watched the show my whole life, and I knew that sometimes people are like if it was different, they'd be like, Jacob, you were amazing. Like that was so awesome. Then be like, and Paige, you were like you complimented him well. Like if it had gone that way, I feel like I would have been like, oh, I'm like, I feel like I would go home. But just their super sweet and very complimentary sentences, just they were so peaceful, just because it kind of signified before they told us that maybe both of us were going through. The one load of advice that they had gave us was on stage, me and Jacob were so invested like in each other, like we were singing to each other and like looking at each other and really feeling the song. And I remember Lionel Richie was like, just remember when you're singing a duet, the audience is out there, not right there. And so that was one thing that he had said, but even that was like a cute little like compliment feedback. And but yeah, that is what they told us. And when we both went through, it was just the funnest thing ever. It was people cheer for you, you walk off stage, and it was just the coolest thing. I loved it.
There is something to be said also though about losing yourself in a song, not to mention a song titled like I'm gonna lose you. It's like you're
Yeah,
really feeling those lyrics. So
I know. And what's funny was Jacob he's 28 and I was 15. So I was the youngest on the show and he was the oldest. And so there's like a 13-year like age gap. And so singing that song, it was very funny because it was very ironic, but it was also just one of like, we really just truly knew that if to completely sell that song, we would truly just have to like feel it from our toes to our head. And so it was just totally just an experience. I loved it. Oh, thank you, Mom. She just brought me a drink. um, but yeah, it was super awesome. I loved it. So my duet round was super memorable.
any standouts that you watched from that round from the audience?
Honestly, unfortunately, because I was first and they had me in school and rehearsals, I didn't get to watch any duet rounds.
Oh
And
man.
I was so sad about that. But my mom got to watch all of them and she told me and filled me in on everyone who totally rocked it, or just like certain situations that had happened. And so my mom could tell you which one stood out to her, but I was so sad because I couldn't
Oh,
really watch any of them. I
um,
know, it was so sad.
yeah. Well, the good news is that you made it to the last round of Hollywood Weekend, and even not making it past Showstoppers, just getting to experience all of that, so many rounds, top 59. And hey, I know that you were 17th, but that's that's still pretty early. You still got
Yeah,
to go relatively early.
totally.
So I want to hear about that day and the song you chose and everything.
I remember really thinking about like, what do I audition with? What do I do genre? Like, but my showstopper round was just super, it was like a fast decision. I remember watching The Voice years ago and hearing someone sing Killing Me Softly for their one of their rounds. And it was kind of a voice very different to mine, but I loved what they were doing with like the song. And so I just was like, oh, that would be such a dream to perform that song. And it got cleared. And so they put me in a rehearsal room with two brilliant people. One of their names is India and Justin, and they're like sometimes will play the piano for the people who are singing, and India is a backup singer, and they both just help you build your song and what to make it sound the best. And they're brilliant. But yeah, I practiced my song, went into like maybe 3 rehearsals for it. And those rehearsals were cool. They were just very simple. You would just sing your songs, it would give you some feedback, and then you'd kind of do the rest on your own in like your hotel room or something. But they kind of turned Killing Me Softly into like this cool, like kind of reggae rock kind of sound, which was very unique, but I loved it. And I still have the like audio on my like phone. And it was just such a cool experience. And walking out there with that band, um, and having a new full audience and the judges up in like this balcony, it was really awesome. In a sense, though, I felt like I was the most nervous for the showstopper round just because of how much bigger a production it is. So it's kind of a blur, like remembering back on like that round, like I can't remember at all what happened during the song, but I can like before and after, just because it was like this crazy experience. But um I loved it. And my dad, they only allow, if you're a minor, just one guardian to come. And it was always my mom. And both of my parents, like we both have very good relationships. And we just, it was hard to decide, like, who would come with me. And, but my mom, she was seriously the best person to have like by my side throughout that whole thing, just because she's such like you just saw, she just walked in here and gave me a drink. Like she
Sweet.
was always providing such a comforting figure to be with, just because she was just so handy. And so to have my dad come very last minute, he drove like 10 hours.
Oh my gosh.
I know, but he's such a big fan of American Idol, and he convinced me the most to come on the show. And so to have both of them there and in the crowd, and you could just see just like the look on their faces, like they were so much more nervous than I was. Like they were just, it was really cool. And I'm happy with how it went. And after that, I said, if I go home or not, I'm still very like happy with what was like how it went. So that's how my showstopper round went. It just was like very fast and kind of a little bit of a blur in my memory, just because I was super nervous, but it was the most fun thing ever. I loved it.
You went from, well, I guess you had an audience in the sense that contestants were watching, but then you have this full theater full of fans that have come in to see you. And I'm guessing if you're having gigging experience, you're used to that. But how did it feel going from not having that audience to then performing in front of all these people?
It felt more real, because honestly, all of the rounds that I had participated in were just kind of me and the judges. Like it was just kind of like a mental thing. But with like hundreds of more people in the room, it was like you not only need to win over the hearts and the connections with these judges, but you have all these people who could potentially be voting for you soon. And honestly, it was just a experience that was so much more just exciting, more people, more music, more everything. And so yeah, that's something that I would say it was just significantly like different, but
Right.
I loved it.
Yeah, no, different atmosphere for sure. I know that unlike the previous rounds where, you've got your contestants watching now, they have you kind of not backstage, but I think right outside the theater, right? And they kind of bring you in clumps. And so you're with a few
Mhm.
other people. Who were you
Yep.
with before you got to go on stage?
I was with her name is Cece, Asia, and she was right before me. Honestly, um we were the last two in our round. And so they have you standing outside of the stage and you can't really see who's in front of you. But it was me and Cece together. And so we were backstage together. Um, and that's truly like all I remember because I think that's all who I was with backstage.
Uh-huh.
And she was super nervous and I was kind of nervous and it was just like a big energy kind of thing. But I remember us just like talking and kind of just being like, you got this, like before we go on stage. And
Yeah.
she was in front of me and I was after her and she killed it. And it was just like when someone does awesome before you, it kind of sets the energy for you to do really good, you know? And so she was a great person to have with me and she's just so cute. So that was us backstage and we are both minors and it was really, really fun. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think there's another gap between filming right after the showstopper and the Green Mile where you actually find out what's going to happen. So is that just like terrifying to have to wait after not knowing what's going to happen for like 2 days?
Truly. It was a very interesting experience. But I also knew that I would be at peace with anything that was given to me.
Mm.
And which is very interesting because a lot of people and like usually how I would be is like, oh, I really, really want to like do this, I want to do that. But there was pros and cons to getting in and not getting in the top 24. And so I kind of knew that. I just knew whatever happened was meant to be, and that was like meant to happen. And so a lot of people were like so stressed out. Like they were truly like, oh, if I don't get in, I don't know what I would do. Like this would be like the end of the world. When I truly I was fine with really whatever I was given. And I don't think the interviewing crew really liked that I had that mindset because they want the kind of the drama, like, is it the end of the world if you go home? And I was like, you know what? No, like this is such a good experience and I've already had the best experience in the world. If I go home, that's okay because I've had the best time. Like obviously it would be amazing to go through, but I was really okay with anything. So the thing that probably freaked me out the most was Ryan Seacrest announced to us that they would be having like multiple, like two people go in at a time to possibly have a sing off to see, like determine who would go through or not. And I was like, oh, if that's me, I will literally like, I just don't know what I would do. And soon enough, Ryan Seacrest called me and Morgan Gruber, who was Jay's duet partner, Jay Copeland's duet partner, to go in together. And her and I are like very different sounding voices, but both two minors that were together a lot. And we were like, what? Like, oh my goodness. Like it was just a crazy experience. So I was a little terrified after that had happened because just the thought process just became different for me. Like I wasn't going to be in there alone. Like I would possibly have to have a freaking sing off or whatever. But thankfully we ended up not having a sing off. But I remember Morgan and I were called back and it's kind of like a greenhouse. Like it's kind of an outside event with a lot of heaters everywhere, but it was still pretty freezing. But before Morgan and I went in, we were sitting kind of outside of this area and we were just like, whatever happens, happens. This is crazy. Like, I cannot believe this. But we both walked in and truly I was sent home in the best way possible. Like truly it was like an honor just to be speaking with them and to hear all these awesome words from them. And when me and Morgan walked in, they had truly complimented what people we were and they had appreciated us and our performance and everything. And they said, you guys are amazing and talented, developed artists, but you are young, amazing, and talented. developed artists. So you are not making it in the top 24, but this is an opportunity for you, because after you make it in the top 24, you can't come back to the show. But if you haven't, you can. And they said, we have really talked about this, and you and Morgan, so me and Morgan, they called us the silver lining. So they told us we were basically the top 25 and 26, because we were the two people that would have gone in if two other people like didn't, basically, which is crazy. Like, that is insane. But they had said, you guys killed this, and truly, like, you were very amazing. But I honestly think that when you're like 18 or older or anything, that you could like go even further. So without like further ado, whatever, they're like, so you aren't going in, but we really do think highly of you, and we like expect to have you back, which was so cool. Like, that was such a compliment. And I wasn't sad or anything, because the way I was sent home was just such like, it was kind of an honor to be sent home like that, in a sense. I was like, oh my goodness, like, this is awesome. Wow. So when Morgan and I were sent home, I don't know how she felt, but I was very content, which was honestly so cool, because I feel like it's so much harder if you're sad about it. And honestly, I was sad about it, but I wasn't distraught, just because of the loving way that I was sent home. Truly. So Green Mile was filled with anticipation and lots of different levels. But I just kind of knew the whole time that like I have like a plan on this earth. And so it's like, I wasn't scared, because whatever happened would be happening for a reason. So yes.
What did you sing in the sing off? So
we actually ended up not having a sing off.
Oh,
they just did that scare.
Yeah. Sorry, I was like, my brain was like, wait a second. Sing off. Yeah.
We're like, wait, they had a sing off? I know. Yeah. I was so thankful that we didn't have a sing off, because that's just awkward. The room was a beautiful, very gorgeous room that me and Morgan were in with all the judges. And I remember after they had like told us the news, they stood up and we got to give all of them hugs, and it was just like insane. Like, I'm giving Luke Bryan a hug, and then Katie Ferry and Lionel Richie. Like, it was just very awesome. And when you walk out, you kind of have to act like professional and sad or whatever. And I remember my mic pack, like, they didn't like put it on very good, and it like slammed the floor when I was walking out, and I was supposed to be sad, but everyone just started laughing so hard, and all the judges were like, Fishy, what are you doing? It was just like, it was just funny. So everything was just like, it was good. Even though I was sent home, it was like just a good experience. Mm-hmm. But yeah, after that we walked out, and you have to tell the people around you, like your contestants and Ryan Seacrest and your parents, that you didn't go through or you did. And I remember one of the most heart-wrenching things I've ever been through was, I wasn't sad, but then I watched all my friends who did go through just be really sad, like Emerson and Tristan and Jacob, and all these people just came up to me giving me a big hug. And I just felt so loved, and it was so just such an incredible experience. So I feel like that's what I have to say about the Green Mile. That, and we just played like a lot of games all day when we were anticipating, like just funny little games like down by the banks and just all those super cool random things. But I loved the Green Mile. It was a very good experience for me.
It's amazing to have such a positive attitude, being in a competition, and obviously, regardless of how the competitive environment is with each other, really, I mean, it all comes down to what you want for yourself. And I think, it still is totally reasonable, even if you're not, having that Hunger Games mentality with the other people, but even just within yourself, everybody wants that for themselves, to be able to be successful and make it, one more round, especially, you make it one round, you make the next round, you start thinking, maybe I could do this. So to still have such a positive attitude, and to think, whatever happens, happens. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. I know that it wasn't for everybody. Where does that come from? Like, just deciding that it's going to be okay.
I feel like initially there's a lot of things that draw back to that thought, but this is a really scary, high pressure experience. And if you have the mentality of like, kind of, if you're really kind of like aggressive and like you don't mean to be negative, but if your thoughts are very just intense, I feel like it makes the experience so much like cheaper. It's so much harder to go through your days without having such a like good mentality about it. Um, and I truly feel like because I had this mentality, it was so much of a better experience for me because I could have been like, oh, I had to wake up at 4 a.m. every day and all these singers, they're so loud. Like people have those mentalities, but I just really woke up every morning and was like, I am so happy I'm here. I am so honored to be here. And I just truly felt like if I was going to live this experience the best I could, I had to have a mentality that was just good, just everything good. And I feel like because of that, it just truly made everything so much better. So I think that just came from me deciding very early on to just be thankful for everything and anything. And I definitely think that's where it sparked from. And I'm grateful that I went into that with that mentality because it can be very easy to view anything in a negative matter. And I'm very thankful that it wasn't that way and that I can look back on it and have so many like amazing memories and really think truly mostly all good about it. So that is what I would have to say about that.
Even just having that mentality before you got there
True.
to then go through the process, what do you learn? I mean, is there one takeaway that you have from your time on American Idol?
Oh my gosh. There's much more than
I know,
one, I
yeah.
feel like. But with what we're talking about, I totally feel like I have kind of truly just looked back on this sentence and it just reminds me of American Idol and just like the way everything was. And it says like, expect nothing and appreciate everything.
Mm.
And I feel like that has truly just drawn into everything since American Idol. And I feel like I've become a stronger and more just an individual, like a better individual person after this experience, just because you undergo so much pressure and so much craziness. And especially at such a young age, I feel like I was very like just kind of blindfolded, but someone was just like walking me through this long process. It was unreal. But the takeaway that I feel like I would totally gather from my experience on American Idol was just the amount of opportunities that you can be given if you just truly view everything in such a positive manner. Because of that, it's like you just appreciate everything and you just are so thankful for everything that's going on. And I'm grateful that I went into the show with that mentality, because if not, I feel like my experience definitely would have been cheapened. So it truly, American Idol was such a way to get my feet wet in the industry, in the real world, in what it's like to be living in that environment and everything. But I feel like because of my experiences on American Idol, it has just really crafted me into a more mature and more just kind of balanced person when it comes to like mind games and everything. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Expect nothing, appreciate everything. Writing that down as soon as we finish this interview.
I'm honored. That
That's
is
gonna help me
awesome.
through that's gonna help me through so much. It's gonna help I mean, anybody that listens to this. I suggest that you find I have a whiteboard in my room. I know where that's going.
Oh, you are so nice. That makes me very happy. I
uh,
love it.
and I want to hear you sing because I think
Awesome.
it's I've been really just so excited because again, as I said at the very beginning, having heard so much about you and then hearing you speak about this experience and what it meant to you, I feel like I'm going to hear that passion in this performance.
Oh,
And I
you're
can
so
only
nice.
imagine when you were there. I can only imagine what you brought to your fellow contestants to get to witness that in person at the Orchestra. So tell us
That
about
is
the song
so sweet. Thank you so much, first of all. Um, and this has been so fun. So thank you. Okay, so I have this song coming out on August 5th, and it is called 24/7. And I actually thought about singing this in my audition, and I did for my online auditions. But now I'm singing it here, and this will be coming out soon.
Cool.
So this is 24/7. Good morning, darling. How did you sleep? Are you doing well? What's happening in your dreams? Are you counting the stars like we used to do? 'Cause I'm up on stage, but I'm still looking for you. So come back to me, wherever you are, 'cause I miss you so much, and I hope you haven't gone too far. I don't want to walk away, because I really care. 'Cause 24/7, I wish you were still here. I can't even listen to that song anymore. Yeah, how could I do that when you walked right out the door? Red roses and sunsets with bright afternoons, oh, spinning in my head while I'm crying in my room. Oh, come back to me, wherever you are, 'cause I miss you so much, and I hope you haven't gone too far. I don't want to walk away, because I really care. Because 24/7, I wish you were still here. Please come back to me if you haven't gone far. I'll be outside playing your favorite song on my guitar. Oh, I'll just walk away and pretend I don't care. But 24/7, I wish you were still here. Yeah, 24/7, I wish you were still here. So that was that song.
Wow, that was incredible. Incredible.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know what to say. That was so good. Wow.
You're so sweet. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh. Ah, man. Do you want to elaborate? Like, I'm just curious, like the inspiration for that song lyrically, when you wrote it, everything.
Honestly, I feel like I wrote this song truly. It's about basically how you can let go of something and you maybe like know it's good for you, but you still kind of think about it 24/7. And
Mm.
I think that's initially how I got inspired to write this song. And I wrote it forever ago, but I'm finally like releasing it. And so I'm happy about that. But yeah, it was definitely written about just wanting something to come back to you, even though you have let it go.
Mm. Yeah, we all want what we can't have. It's like I said before you started, I was like, I know I'm gonna hear the passion when you sing, and I definitely heard it, and I was just like, it was such
Oh,
an honor
thank
to
you.
get to hear you. Wow.
Thank you so much. That's truly so nice of you.
Oh my gosh. Well, Paige, I know that so many people are going to, listen to this interview, listen to you sing, and want to keep following your journey, and they want to know what you're up to.
Oh,
Obviously, 24/7 coming out August 5th, but as far as shows, as far as more music, what can people expect from you in the future?
I this summer have seriously had a gig every week. And so I feel like now after Ideal, so many doors have opened to the point where I'm doing a lot of performances and I love doing that. That is one of my favorite things ever. So I feel like something you can expect from me would be lots of new performances and hopefully some music out this year, some more music out on all platforms. So
Wow.
yeah.
Well, I will be listening for sure. And
Oh, thank you.
I also want you to tell people where they can follow you if they haven't followed you already online, social media.
Yeah, you can follow me truly on every social media account, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, anything. It's just Paige Fish. I have two H's at the end of my username for fish. But yeah, I seriously would love if these people could get to know me and I could get to know them. And thank you so much for having me on here. This has truly been so fun. I love this.
Oh, thank you. I've had a blast.
Oh, thank you. Me too.
And I truly also cannot wait for people to hear because it shocks me some of the people, including yourself, that didn't get aired. It's like how did this happen? But I also think that like you definitely have shown me just through your mindset that it's all about the experience. And despite the stars not aligning for you to be on TV, this still left
Totally.
an impact on you and still changed your life in many ways.
Truly, you nailed that. You said that so well. It is definitely just all about the experience, and regardless of everything, it was just the best thing ever. I love it.
Well, if you guys love this conversation, make sure that you follow us on Instagram or TikTok at Idle Unaired Podcast. If you are listening on Apple Podcast or Spotify or wherever you may be listening, make sure that you subscribe or follow, rate, leave a review. You can also watch these interviews on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe. Just type in American Idol Unaired. You can find all of our interviews there. And Paige, thank you so much for being a part of American Idol
Yes, thank you
Unaired.
so, so, so much for having me.
Of course.